I got paid to make pixel art, like legit, by an actual company making an actual product. So I want to talk to you guys about how that process went. I can't give you all the specific details, of course. I'm under an NDA right now, which is a non-disclosure agreement, but I can kind of give you some general loose stuff to watch for, how you can make sure that you're not being swindled if this sort of offer ever comes to you, how I went about figuring out my pricing, and whether or not I thought this was worth it. While I do that, I'm going to pull up a pixel art drawing I just did of a treasure chest. Not related to this product, but it is related for the video. Here we go. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Robinson of Robinson Pixels. This is, of course, going to be my personal story. Everyone's story is different. I don't expect anyone else's to work out exactly this way. So, just going to lead in with that because it's going to be different for everybody. But I wanted to tell you what happened for me. So let's go ahead and pull up that time lapse. On my Instagram account, I actually got a request. It was from someone I don't know, so it automatically went into the hidden request folder. I don't even check in there very often. It was a pure happenstance. I went and I looked like 10 minutes after they sent this message. Now, they were looking for a freelance pixel artist, which is not what I've ever really considered myself to be because I've never actually been paid to make pixel art before, but the email was very professional, right? Like, they didn't have a lot of typos, which is, of course, something you need to look for if something is feeling like it may be a scam. First thing is just like really bad grammar. So they didn't have that. I went full stalker mode, which is what I recommend that you do too. Maybe not like all the way, like don't stalk in person, but full internet stalker mode, just to ensure that this was legit. First, I checked that this was a real website, made sure that the URL for this person did match this website. I found the Facebook account for this company, found the person who messaged me on that Facebook account, made sure that that matched up with the person on Instagram who had messaged me. I checked the Better Business Bureau to be sure that this was a real company since I hadn't actually heard of it before, and yeah, it's real. Went to their LinkedIn account. Yeah, that's a real individual who really is doing related tasks to essentially what is being brought to me. I went on their personal Instagram account where they don't talk about work, but like 3 years ago, they had posted a picture of their kid's homework assignment that had included referencing the parent's job. So if this was a con, this was like the longest con on the planet because they would have had to have been setting this all up for years, right? So I felt confident at that point enough to be like, yeah, okay. Let's see what happens here. Of course, they had me sign the NDA, which I'm now under, which prevents me from telling you anything. I will say that what they were asking for is stuff that I could do, right? And it's a lot of it was stuff that I've already done, just even for the channel or on my own, just for practice, little projects that I've done. So it was really cool for this professional person to ask me like, hey, can you do this thing? And for me to be confident in saying that, yes, I can do that thing. So I do want to say, even if you haven't been hired or not working on a major project, just keep on practicing as many things as you can and get as good as you can, because it was very cool for me to just know in my mind, like, yeah, I can do that. The next question that they had for me was for a quote. I was kind of hoping that they would just make the offer themselves, but I really don't think that's how anything in the art world works. Generally speaking, yeah, the artist should know how much to charge. And I didn't know how much to charge because I've never done that before. Obviously, I can't tell you guys how much I asked for, but I am going to tell you how I figured out my process for determining how much I would ask for. The first thing I did was some research. If you go out to Fiverr, there are a lot of actual pixel artists on there. I didn't realize that, but people who are very talented are posting their pixel art, and they have been working with like professional organizations and stuff, and that's how a lot of them get found. So I looked at their pricing structure and tried to kind of formulate how my pricing structure would work based on theirs. What I was charging didn't match like the top dogs out there, but also this was my first project, so you know. But on that same note, you don't want to undersell yourself, because when you go through and you undercut everyone like by a large amount of money, honestly, you're devaluing like pixel art as an art form, right? Or even as a business form. You want this to be something that people can do and make a living off of it. And I'm in that weird spot of I already make a living with my real job, so I don't need the pixel art money, but I do want to make sure that this is a healthy industry that people are able to work in. I also found a website that goes into this really big breakdown that somebody had done, actually trying to figure out exactly how much people were charging per frame of animation for a video game. That were trying to like reverse engineer it. So I'll put links to that and to that Fiverr page down in the description, so that way maybe you guys can kind of start formulating some ideas to figure out how much you would charge on a project as well. Now, the other thing that I'll say on that too is, when you're calculating the charges, you really should be calculating everything, including the non-art components of it. Even if your only discussion with the company is regarding the art that you're making, you still have to take into account how much time you are spending on the additional tasks. Emailing the company back and forth requires time and thought. Creating an estimate requires time. Even going through and kind of working on the art and getting some ideas and drawing it out, and it sucks at first, and you delete it and then you start over. And I made 5 or 6 versions of one of the products before I sent it to them, right? To even say, here's the thing that I made that I'm really proud of. Glad you didn't see it before, because it was terrible for a little while. That's all stuff that you really should be considering and factoring into your charge. I also kind of tried to figure out how long it would take me to make this art based on my actually videos for the channel. I was able to go through and find similarly sized graphics that I had done before. I record everything for the channel, so I knew, exactly how long I can work on it from start to finish. Obviously, it's going to vary for every single thing that you ever make. But I looked at a few and I was able to figure out, okay, it takes me about this long to make a sprite that's about this size, right? And then I can try and reverse engineer from there how much I think it would cost for an entire project to be completed. Before I even started on the project, I also spoke with these people on the phone. That also helped establish that they were real people. And even during that conversation, one of the questions came up, obviously, about payment. Knowing how much it would be, you still have to figure out how that will work. Whether or not you're going to get paid up front, or a portion up front, or all at the end. Just in any general art form, all at the end sounds extremely risky. So unless you really trust who you're working with, that's not a route that I would recommend that you go. This is something where you're normally going to want to make sure that they are legitimate by requesting at least a percentage of payment up front. Now, when you're going about that process, you have to have a way to get paid. I had a personal Venmo account, but I did not have a business Venmo account. I had to do some research into taxes, but it turns out in the United States, if you are making any money through any business that's not like your main income, so like side hustle money, then you are supposed to report that on your taxes, which I figured, but I wanted to make sure, right? Does side hustle money count? Well, yeah, it does. So I want to make sure I'm doing everything kosher. So I created a business Venmo account for myself. And I also developed an invoice. I had to do some research into figuring out how invoices look and what you ask for. But really, it is just you saying, here's my product I'm selling you and how much it is. It's just like essentially a PDF. That way they can't go in and change it. And of course, once we had all the payment details and stuff all figured out, it was the doing of the art. It was incredibly nice for me to be able to make something that will hopefully be used. The product is not out yet, and it's something that may or may not see the light of day. That's just kind of how the industry works. So if and when it does come along into existence, then I'll be glad to say, hey guys, look at this thing, look at that. I hope I get more opportunities to work with that going forward. And in order to help myself make that more possible going forward, then I still have to go through and figure out, how do we make this more legit? I know that I want to get a website so that I can actually have a portfolio. I would also possibly like to make a store, right? Like an online shop where I just sell stuff. That would just be a good place where I could maybe even practice with little freelance things. Honestly, if any of you guys could let me know in the comments if you have a method for this, if this is something you've done before, how do you even do custom work for people and not accidentally overload yourself. Obviously, I've got a lot on my plate, so I got to figure out how to do all of that stuff that's on my plate, or at least how to organize it. So I'll be letting you all know, if you want to follow along on this journey, you can follow along for more pixel practice, and, we'll see what happens. Bye! I got made to pick pixel Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I didn't practice talking first. What's up, fam?